Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's episode 116. I'm Mike Milan. That is my partner, Blaine Birch, and this is the Mike and Blaine Show. If you want to check us out, go to mikeandblaine.com, but this is where you get your business, your beer, and your BS all in one place. Blaine, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, I'm excited. I don't know which of the three will be the leader today, the business, the beer, or the BS, but I'm good for all of them, man. I'm ready to roll.
All right, so you just told me 3 podcasts today. This is the third one. So, I mean, you're a glutton for punishment. I mean, or you just love to hear yourself talk.
I don't know how it happened. I looked at my calendar this morning and went, wait a minute. So, like, I had a podcast with a CPA podcast this morning on LumiQ. It's not live, so it'll be a little later. And then one of our Turning Point podcasts, someone booked in with me. It was a terrific episode, lots of fun. I really enjoyed talking with the guy. And now my favorite one by miles. Sorry, other guys. This is my favorite. We do it every week, man. This is the best podcast on the planet.
This is 116. We have done this 116 hours.
Yes, that's amazing, eh?
It kills me.
Imagine if we just exercised for 116 hours.
I probably did 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, I'd rather sit and drink beer, so that suits my lifestyle really well.
Obviously not today. So, hey, let me tell you a little bit about Cashflow Mike. Cashflow Mike is where you go if you want to learn more about your financial statements and find hidden cash in your business. That's what I do. I teach you how to find hidden cash, and I can teach you how to analyze your financial statements in 7 minutes or less. So go to cashflowmike.com. How about you?
And then come over to Dry Run, because now you have this information and you know what you got to do. Come over here, hook up your accounting file to Dry Run, and we will show you exactly where your cash flow is headed. You can build in a sales forecast. You can start scenario modeling. And in fact, you can do it even if you don't have an accounting file. We'll get you going and show you where you're headed as a business, so you're making smart decisions.
Yeah, very cool. So, I mean, Dry Run is the place to go if you want to model cash flow. I can tell you that right now. So, I've been on this kick. Oh, there it is. There's Apple gestures getting in my way again. But if you're listening, I didn't even make a thumbs up. I made a fist. And I thought I'd give it a thumbs up. So Apple gestures just went all across the screen. But here's the thing. These taglines, right, have been just in my head lately. One, because I'd love to have one for me. So I've been thinking about it. But I want to kind of dig into that today. And I got the perfect beer for it, I think. What do you got?
All right. Well, okay. So when I saw what it was about, I'm like, okay, I got to have a beer with a great tagline. I could not find a beer with a tagline in my fridge. I'm standing there and all of a sudden the fridge starts going bing, bing, bing. Like, okay, close the door, open her back up again and start looking at all my beer again. Then I noticed this one and I really like it because it actually, the brewery put their tagline on the can and it's connected with the branding. And I love it. It's called Beef Dipped.
Okay.
And it's from Hop Butcher in Chicago. And it's a double IPA. But what I love is it's Hop Butcher, and they have their tagline. It says "For the World," and it was actually just the one brewery that I found that actually had a tagline on their can. But also, they went Hop Butcher and it's beef dipped, so they actually are branding. You know, their entire brand message kind of connects. So I thought that was just awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool. All right, so it's been on my mind because the ones that do it well. It's just like going, yeah, it makes so much sense, right? You found a way in 2, 3, 4, 5 words or whatever to really umbrella everything you do and everything you embody. And we buy into it, right? It's like an instant recognition. So I went with Stone Brewery today, right? Because, I didn't go with the, what is that called? Dirty Bastard or whatever. I didn't go with that one. But it was this other one from Stone Brewery. That's just called Delicious IPA.
Nice.
Right? There was 2 things I liked about this. First of all, if it's delicious, and I haven't tried it yet, but if it's delicious, you can't describe your product any better than that. So you can't do that. But what they have is on their tagline, because they've always got this gargoyle as kind of their logo ish, right? And they say the gargoyle to them is their loyal guardian, but it's your symbol of quality, right? I'm like, man, see, they're
Nice.
they're just combined. They're like, hey, it's our guardian, it's your symbol of quality, and I'm like going, man, it just really makes sense to me when you see it.
That's just beauty. I really like that. And okay, so I wonder if any of our beer sponsors have amazing taglines. And I got to tell you, if you go to our Facebook page, you can see a picture of me and Larry Weinstein at Goldwater Brewing having a beer, sitting on the patio, because he was in town last week. And I got to sit down with Larry and have beer with him. And our beer sponsor, Larry, and we've got 3 sponsors. We've got Larry, we've got Neighbor Pat, which of course he's bringing you beer. So I mentioned Neighbor Pat, but, and I thought you were doing our other beer sponsor.
Oh, I forgot who it was. Who was it? Oh, Rachel Barnett. Yeah. I was like going,
You totally froze me when I'm like, and then as soon as you said it, also like the name just went out of my head, and I'm like, oh no.
I had to think about what you said. I'm like going, he said 2. Which one did he miss?
Well, because you always like to do Rachel, and so I like you always seem to add on when I talk about Rachel and what she does for QuickBooks and all that, like trading, and you always add on. So I'm like, you're just better at it. So Rachel, sorry, we just both went.
Actually, I think my mistake gave Rachel more airplay.
Let's do it.
Think about it. So,
Keep talking about
Rachel Barnett, right, of Gentle Frog. If you don't know anything about QuickBooks, if you're like going, what is this QuickBooks? How do I use it? How do I get started in my business? She's the one that can take you from I know nothing to I know a lot, right? Very fast. It's like 0 to 60. So her specialty is taking folks that don't know anything or know just a little bit about QuickBooks and they want to know more. Contact Rachel over at Gentle Frog. It's a really cool name, so it should be easy to remember. And I met her in Seattle, but now she lives in Ottawa. But I think she does both U.S. and Canada, so anybody can contact Rachel.
Nice. Thank you so much, Rachel, and Larry and Neighbor Pat as well. Thank you guys so much for keeping us
I'm
flush with beer.
I saw that picture, and I was jealous. I was I was like disappointed. I'm like, oh man, they're having fun, and I'm stuck here in Texas.
Yeah, it would have been awesome if you were there too, man. It was really fun, and I actually biked over to the brewery so I could bypass all the traffic on the way home. I could have a couple of beers. It was awesome. So yeah, it was a really fun time catching Larry before he hopped on a plane to head home. So yeah, thanks again, guys.
Well, good. All right, so let's kind of talk about let's give our site a plug real quick before we get into the topic, because the topic's meaty, right? And I don't know if we'll get a chance to come back, or what happens, but if you're talking about these beer sponsors, I think we're 40 or 41 weeks in a row.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, 40, 41 weeks in a row, and we don't want to break our streak. Don't want to break our streak. So you can help us out. And I talked to the other Mike Mylan just yesterday, and he says, I got that box almost packed. I'm going to send it. And who knows how many weeks of beer. He's actually sending beer. He's not just going to mikeandblaine.com and sending cash so we buy our own beer. He's picking the beers and sending them to me. Is that crazy?
That's dedication, man. That's awesome. That's real dedication. So
yeah, and now that I said it on the air again, he'll have to do it.
Exactly. No,
it's like super peer pressure, right? but that's how you can get on there. You don't have to box up beers. You don't have to worry about dry ice or whatever the heck you got to do to send them. All you have to do is go to mikeandblaine.com and click on buy us a beer. Every $5 equals one beer, and every $5 equals 1 week. So think about it that way. So $5, for $20, you get a whole month of us talking about you and your business. If you do it, make sure in the notes section you put a little bit about your business so we know what to talk about next. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, Mike and Blaine, mikeandblaine.com. And on top of it, besides buying us a beer, we also have like merch, like this really cool Mike and Blaine mug. We got shirts, we got all kinds of stuff, which is super fun too. But Yeah, and make sure I'm just going to jump in now. Make sure you subscribe. You make sure you follow us so you don't miss any of our episodes. That we're about to get into the meat episode, the beef dipped. We're getting into it.
I'm glad you reminded me because I didn't do it yet. I'm buying a Just Giving Her shirt today. Right after this, I'm
Nice.
gonna jump right on there, and I don't know if it'll be here by next week or the week after, but you will see me in a Just Giving Her t-shirt.
Sweet. That's
So,
awesome, man. I love it.
all right, so let's just give her.
Let's give her. Dive in.
So that's our thing, right? So we're gonna give her. All right, we're talking about taglines that stick, and to me, that's the best taglines in the world are the ones that you read it, it resonates, you remember it, and then all of a sudden, a year later or a month later, you see the logo and you think about that tagline. You go, "Oh, that's a." Hey, I just bought a PlayStation 5, right? I know I'm late to the party, like right. I think that's close. I wouldn't call it as good as some others. Right?
No, like it's man, really amazing taglines. The simpler they are, the harder they are, right?
Yeah.
And like we all know, like some of probably one of the most famous ones is "Just Do It." Well, man, does that work well for Nike? Like it's just a straight line to what they're trying to say, and it's just such a really slick tagline, right?
Well, and it goes to everything. Oh, you want to run? Just do it. You want to play basketball? Just do it. You want
Mhm.
to? It doesn't matter. And it's one of those things you're like, going, God, that's so simple. I mean, it almost seems so obvious. Like sometimes we overlook the obvious, thinking, oh, that's already probably out there. Somebody's already got that. Somebody's already doing that. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah.
And maybe Nike's doing it, but maybe you're totally not even in their space and you can still use it, right? Because it's like nobody thinks about what would it be? Computer servers, like going chain them together. Just do it. I don't know. I mean, Nike's not going to think that you're infringing on their trademark because it's what nobody thinks of computer servers that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you said you're looking for a tagline, and those are hard. We still don't have a great one for dry run. Like we go back and forth and up and down, but haven't got one where I'm like, yeah, that one's got some staying power. It's hard. It's hard to do, and especially it's hard to do one when you don't have the coverage of a business like Nike. Like people know Nike, they know what the brand is. When you don't have that brand recognition, your tagline kind of probably has to be a little bit more descriptive, right? And so it makes it challenging and probably not kind of as fun and cool, right? But like, what are you thinking of? What's going through your head right now?
Well, all right. So when I started my first bar, I changed the name from what it was when I bought it to Church Street Bar and Grill, right? Church Street, because we were on Church Street, right? Like, how you going to find me? It was somebody's name before that, but I'm like, well, if I say it's Church Street, at least you're going to know that it's on. You see Church Street, go, oh, it's on Church Street. I know where it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But we put a tagline on the back of our shirt, which was a little bit pushing because there was actually 3 churches on this street. Believe it or not. So I purposely did not get a Sunday liquor license. In Missouri, you had to buy 2 licenses, one for
Hmm.
6 days a week, and then it cost an equal amount of dollars for the one day.
Oh
It's
wow.
it's such a
Yeah.
weird deal, right? That the
Yeah.
one day costs as much as the regular liquor license.
Yeah.
So we put on the back because we were closed on Sundays, like going, hey, go to church every day but Sunday. You know?
Nice. That's awesome.
But it's dumb, right? And it makes people mad.
Yeah. Well, but not your customers, right? Your customers will love it. And that's the thing that you got to remember is you're not trying to please the people down the block that'll never come to your bar. You're trying to catch your customers and make them laugh and say, "Hey, let's show up there." And like we've done little I actually was just looking up now. Like we had before COVID, we were at all the events, the QBO Connect in San Jose and the this in Seattle and that in Atlanta. We were always at these things, and we used to make stickers, right? And buttons,
Hmm.
super cheap, but people loved them, and they would put them on their laptops and their bags and everything. And we had we had Cassius King, of course. We had Cassius Queen. That one went really well. We had Before Shit Gets Real. That one was like a collector's item. People wanted
I
that.
love that one. I love
And I actually, that's probably my favorite tagline is Before Shit Gets Real. It's like, yeah, that's dry run. Like dry run your stuff, right? Before
Yeah.
it happens. And we had Robots Can't, because a lot of it was like, they can do some for you, but it still comes down to you as a business owner making some decisions and making connections the robots can't. And so those are some of the 3 that we kind of dug, right?
What's funny is that I'm starting to get more robots in my group coaching session. It's like somebody sends it because it's connected to their calendar, so it sends them in automatically.
Yep.
So I'm like going, I bet there's a point in time when it's just my robot talking to their robot, and nobody shows up to the meeting.
Nobody shows up. Yeah. And little avatar.
So they added.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I had one of my staff said that they've changed, and it's actually quite like pretty interesting what they're doing. I haven't had time to go in and try it, so we'll see what he comes up with.
All right. So Chad says he's a fictional AI and character from the 80s. That said, it didn't have a specific tagline, but he had.
I swear.
All right. So
There was something. I swear there was something that.
he said he had catchphrases. So one of the catchphrases Chad thinks is 20 minutes into the future. What? I don't even remember that one. So that's
I don't
terrible.
remember that. No, there's something we're missing with Max Headroom that I swear he would say every time.
We all
or something.
imitated at school. We'd imitate it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to look this up right after we're done here because I'm curious, right? Like, and I bet you it's on YouTube. Like Max Headroom on YouTube, you'll probably see whatever it was because I know there was something there. Just I could just feel it, right? Ask Chad.
Yeah.
What are the best taglines in the world? I just want to see what he comes up with.
Well,
If it's like big brands or what.
Chad thinks that "Just Do It" is number one, right? Apple, right? And you know what I like about apples, and this Think Different, because
Yep.
and I think we've even talked about this on this show, is before we even knew what they sold, most of us in the early 80s had no real comprehension of what a personal computer would be.
Mhm.
I didn't know. The
No.
computers that even my rich friends had, you go look at it and go, well, that's not that great. It's like a snowman walking across or whatever they did in their coding. It was something,
Yeah.
like, how long did it take you? It took 74 hours to make this robot go across the screen. I'm like, well, I'd rather play baseball. So, I mean, that's who I was right back then. I'm
Yeah.
like, that was dumb. I'm not going to sit in front of this computer and try to make a robot with just. I think the Apple language back then was basic.
Mm.
It would be like go to, or I forget, start home. I don't remember what it was,
Yeah.
but the thing about Apple then is, before we really understood the personal computer, they made us all believe something else. This is what makes the tagline so perfect, because you got to remember the 60s, 70s, 80s was about rebellion, about pushing back against authority. So
Yeah.
they said, hey, we're going to think different. And then the second part of that most people kind of forget, they also said, we're going to think different, but we're going to challenge the status quo. And if you believe what we believe, then you should buy an Apple.
Mm.
Dude, so before but that one belief, thinking
Yeah.
differently and challenging the status quo, now makes us buy anything Apple. Outside, it's a great product, but I don't care if it's an iPod, iPad, an iPhone, an iMac, an eyeball. I guess I don't know, but all these things, it was a feeling, it was an emotion,
Yeah.
this is a value, a belief I have.
Yeah.
That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes Nike so powerful too. Just do it. I believe I can do it. I
Yeah.
believe that I can walk outside and, I'll say walk 2 miles or run 2 miles or,
Yeah.
play basketball for 30 minutes. I mean, what do you think about the emotional connection to taglines?
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like if you, yeah, I think you're completely right. If you get an emotional reaction, it's going to be 1,000 times more memorable. It's also there's going to be that connection. People will feel connected with your brand. So there's this challenge of that connection to the brand, that yes, I'm part of that group. I'm part of that. But then how do you also translate it to what you're doing as a company? Like again, Apple is just really brilliant. They're saying, okay, everybody else is doing this. Think different, because we're different. And you're like us. You're different. Like, this is what they were trying to build on is people want to feel like they're different, not feel like they're the same and a part of the drones, right?
Yeah, so I've got a student. All right, so I teach. You probably know this, but people out there maybe not. I teach entrepreneurial sales at Trinity University. So I'm working with juniors and seniors that have an ongoing business or are trying to launch one.
Mm.
And, I'm teaching them how to develop their sales team and launch, right? And what happens while you're trying to sell. Well,
Yeah.
part of it is, who are you? What's your brand identity? And there's a guy right now I think is so close, from a clothing standpoint, right? Because he's an artist, and what he's trying to do is convert pieces of the larger art that he's made, like an image here or an image there in a larger picture, that are attached to emotions that people, and I won't say his age group, but he's connecting to his age group. But the feeling is loneliness. The feeling is I don't feel seen. The feeling is, and he connects it to things that we know, which is love and death and trust and all these things. That the company's name is NSIF, which is like, oh, it's not a great name until you understand what NSIF means, right? Which is, it's not scary, it's fun, right? And his whole thing is,
Mhm.
you're not alone, we see you. And so his main image is this astronaut. And it's what's so cool about that. He says, I see you, because an astronaut kind of floating in space, you may feel as an individual that you're floating hopelessly, that you're floating just out there. And there's so much, especially when you come out of high school and it's your first experience in college, that it's all over the place. You're just alone. He's trying to say, hey, you're not alone. It's not scary. It's fun. You're seen. You're not floating hopelessly. You're exploring opportunities. Everything is at your fingertips, right?
Yeah.
And he's taking one image and juxtaposing it. And man, it's fantastic stuff. He's connecting to the emotion, and I love it.
When you said it, because the only T-shirt brand just like top of mind that pops into my head was, I'm sure you remember them back in the 90s, No Fear.
Yeah, I remember them.
That's the only, if you ask like a T-shirt brand, I'm like, that's the only one I actually remember. And I remember, see, this is what I remember about them is
the brand or the tagline, or was that just
that was the brand. The brand, I don't even know if they had a tagline. It was just No Fear. And it was such a brilliant, because you know, that's for that sort of imagine it was back in the 90s, that that pushback culture, that the stuff that was like the Seattle sound, all that stuff was, it was a little bit counterculture, and just, it was interesting how they just kind of dropped in and connected with people with like 2 words. And then it was amazing how fast it disappeared, or at least from disappear, or I shouldn't say disappeared. It was so cool, and then because it was like new and kind of alternative, and then it got commoditized and became uncool even faster. And it was that's amazing. And that's the other thing with a brand and a tagline and everything. How do you get longevity? Like Think Different, like Just Do It. When these guys was like, their brand was like the cool thing, uncool instantly, like uncool, just disappeared.
Yeah. What did happen to them? Maybe Chad will tell me later. Like, well, No Fear. Like, all right. So the other one, they went to, all right. So the next 3: McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and BMW. All right. I use BMW all the time as an example, but McDonald's, the I'm loving it. Again, think about it. It's connect. Yeah. I don't think it's great, but it connects to an emotion.
It does, but when you said McDonald's, I couldn't actually think of what the tagline was. You had to tell me, because I'm like, I can't think of what it is. I have no idea. Now I don't. I guess I don't need a McDonald's, so maybe I'm not in their market. Coca-Cola.
What do you think?
Eludes me, to be honest, as well.
It's actually not great, and Chad thinks it's great. But again, Chad likes things that connect to emotion. So their tagline is open happiness. Open happiness. So
I've never heard of that in my life. That's not
me either. So it may be their tagline, but it's not well known, right?
Now, the choice of a new generation. I remember that, and I'm not even a cola drinker, and that was Pepsi. Actually.
Yeah,
that was Pepsi, but I remember that. That was actually a better tagline. I still remember that. I agree with you. Ultimate Driving Machine is like, yeah, that's super badass. Like, that's just a good tagline, right?
Hey, I mean, it does the 2 things. I think every tagline should have 2 things in it, right? What do you do, and why should I get it from you? Ultimate Driving Machine is, oh, I know what you do. You do luxury cars, and if I want the best one, I get the BMW. And
get it from you. Exactly.
I don't personally think BMW is the best car, but I mean, Courtney's renting one right now, and she loves it. You know, I'm kind of back and forth, because sometimes I think they're weird. I think they feel weird to me. And you're a BMW guy.
I am, but I will tell you, when I bought Lucy, that's my current car. I test drove everything on the planet, and I'll tell you that I'd had a couple of brands in between, and the only car I ever missed was my 1998 328 IS with the M kit. Like, I love that car, right? And so I don't know why I tried all these other brands. I test drove everything, and I'll tell you, it was the drive. It wasn't even maybe like the like there's cars that I maybe even thought, that one actually looks a little cooler or whatever. But when I drove when I drove Lucy, it's like, this is the ultimate driving. Like, it drives like the power and the handling and everything is just different. It is absolutely different. So it's not just in the name. Like, they are going like, they've connected the brand to the product, and it's like that's where we're putting our time and energy, because that's what we're about, right? Where Volvo might be safety, although I know they're about safety. I have no idea if they have a tagline for that.
Mm-hmm.
But for BMW, to me, it was like I test drove the hell out of everything, because at that time I wasn't even kind of even thinking of a Beamer, and then I went and tried it and was like I couldn't peel the smile off my face. I'm like, yeah, well, guess what? I'm sold, hook, line, and sinker, right?
Yeah. Hey, speaking of not being able to peel the smile off my face, that's me when somebody earns the certification Clear Path to Cash Professional. How was that?
Nice.
How was
Beauty. Beautiful.
All right. So, anyway, what I'm talking about is Cashflow Mike in my new course, new this year, being Pathfinder. Pathfinder takes the financial concepts from the Clear Path to Cash, 8 concepts that show you how to maximize cash in any given business situation, and then execute an advisory services program with a client. So if you're an advisor, if you're a small business consultant, if you're a bookkeeper or an accountant, I teach you not only the math behind the concepts, I make it easy to explain to your clients. So think about concepts that you can learn very quickly and then very easily explain to others. That's what Pathfinder is. And at the end, you can take a short quiz on what you just learned, earn a certification that is actually went through audits and what is that, ISO 9000 something or another's. But it's proctored by a third party that's made sure that this course meets all the standards, so you can earn the title of Clear Path to Cash Professional and get a digital badge that you can show your clients that you actually know what you're talking about and increase the value of your services. So check out cashflowmike.com. Go to the services link at the top of the webpage and check out Pathfinder and earn your certification this quarter.
Beautiful. Now we got to come up with a tagline for it.
We need that, right? We need a tagline. Yeah, like
although, you know what? It feels like, I'll be honest with you, the Clear Path to Cash feels like a tagline. Like, it is so good. So it's like Cashflow Mike, the Clear Path to Cash. That just freaking is
that's
awesome.
You cutting through the noise right there. I got this statement I say all the way through my course saying clear the noise. I think you just cleared the noise. That might be
nice.
A tagline. The Clear Path.
It's good. It is good. Consider it. It's a really good one.
You know who came up with that? Courtney. And here's how it happened, right? Because I'm like going, here's the things I teach, and I put together this thing called a blueprint, right? And what a blueprint does is it takes the problem you're trying to solve.
Because I don't think before shit gets real is. I love it. It says the right thing, but it's not quite the right thing to use. So
she's good at it, man. She can see a pattern in words that I just didn't see.
Nice. Nice.
And I tell you, every time it gets accolade somewhere, Cashflow Mike's Clear Path to Cash. She goes, I came up with a Clear Path to Cash, right? Like, well, kind of. Yes, you named it. Yes, that's right.
Nice. Well, that's good. She needs she deserves a props for that. So,
because it's hard, and I'm not good at it. I'm telling you, There's a lot of things I'm good at. I am not good at naming things. That's how I come up with Cashflow Mike. That's how we came up with Cashflow Tool. Because I'm not great at naming things.
It's a hard thing. Well, like even the name Dry Run, you cannot believe how long that took me to come up with, and then to also find a .com I could buy and the trademark, get it the trademark and everything. It was hard. But then the tagline is even harder, and we've never really We've tried different things and stuff. We just never really nailed that down right. And we know it's like that nagging thing on the somewhere on our list of to dos is to just, because we know it's not easy to grind it out and get something that works really well.
I think if you take that blueprint that I did for the Clear Path to Cash and just do the same thing, what problems do we solve? How do we solve them? You'll see a theme just in what you're writing, right? And you know, I've got like, there's 8 sections, so 8 times 3, 27 different little one sentence. I only put one sentence or one phrase in every box. So I had 27 of those. And she goes, oh, it's clear. Meaning she didn't see clear. She saw clarity, right? And, you know, give you financial clarity, those type of things. So I think what you'll see is you're using the same words over and over and over again. And those words will come together as a phrase. It's really super cool what we were doing there.
I'm going to try that. I may bug you a little more about the exact way to do that, but because I get what you're saying, I think, and it's very interesting.
Here's what I'll do. I will put the blueprint right now. It's already named Clear Path to Cash, but I'll show you the blueprint that she and I were working off of. I'll put it on the Facebook page as just a PDF. So
Sweet.
Anybody's listened. I mean, it isn't just for you. Anybody's listened that's struggling with the tagline. Look at the way I structured this document, and you'll be able to pull the exact words out of it just by looking at it. It just kind of helps you organize it a little bit better.
And you know, like we've floated different taglines over the years and that. And the thing that gets me is we may have had a really good one and just not known it, not recognized like that was the one, that is the one, or is it still floating out there? It's tough. It's a challenge because you're trying to sum up, like you said, what you do for people, who you do it for, how you're different, all in one really catchy little, you know, the name Dry Run to me does it. Like that was right. It's like you're dry run, do it before shit gets real. Like you're dry running your business. You're
that's right.
Before you take action, test it out. Right. But we haven't got the tagline to go with it yet. So it's
All right. So the first 2 years over at Finagraph, we try to be fancy. You know, I mean, 2012, everybody's trying to be .com-ish almost, right? So we even had shirts made of this, the Finagraph Jewel, which looks like a graph, right? I mean, it's just a graph going up. It had our colors in each of the bars, and underneath were just 3 words. It was click, connect, compute. And we thought that was the coolest thing ever. And really, I mean, with hindsight, we're like going, well, it's not awesome. so we ditched it after 2 years, but we're like, well, that's what we do though. You just click on a button, it connects to your accounting system, and then we compute all the rest of the data, right? I mean, because back then people were scared to connect their accounting systems to anything foreign, to any third-party source. And now, like going, I don't know, I'll connect it to about anything.
Connect to anything, yeah.
But then that was the biggest objection we had in sales was, is my data safe? Is this, you know, should I do this? And now nobody has that same concern.
Nobody has that concern anymore. And we did the same sort of alliteration. At one time we had a monitor, manage, and model your cash flow. And it was the 3 M's. We used to talk about the 3 M's, but it just never, it never had the liveliness. It was something we were still working on. So if anyone's listening out there and you got a brilliant one, just run it by me. I'll take any help from anybody.
Yeah. How about we help businesses stay in business?
It's true, but is it like you can say it doesn't say enough about what we do about like forward looking. We for a while we'd look forward, like because it's all forward looking. Look forward to this. Look forward to that. Look forward to building. Look forward to growing. But it just didn't quite jive. right? So we've thought about, like I said, we've thought about these things. We had a better way to run the numbers at one point. We had all these ones, but
Yeah.
none of them seem to just connect and go like, yeah, that's the one, right? And
Yeah. So, yeah, let me put some thought to that because you have an interesting one. So, when you talked about the best, what happened to me when you said that, and I'm going backwards before the commercial, which was right. What was the best one? You know, am I going? I actually had I don't know if it's catchphrase or a tagline that stuck in my head instantly. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's the best and the worst at the same time. And there's another company copying it 30 years later. All right, so Wendy's, 1980. The elderly woman yells, "Where's the beef?" Right?
it's funny because I was going to bring this up next because I was thinking the same
Hey,
thing.
great minds. I mean, we've talked 116 hours. Surely we're going to come up with the same idea.
Get
every
going the
once in a
same
while.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was picturing that exact commercial too. Where's the beef?
I could say that thing is well known. It's memorable. It doesn't really connect to their brand though, because she's talking about other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like it should have been, we have the beef.
Uh,
Wait, did someone do that one?
That's what I'm saying. Somebody copied it 30 years from now, or from then. Arby's go, "We have the
Arby's.
meats."
The meats. We have the meats. You're right. We have the
Because they
meats. I
didn't
knew
want
I
to
kind of
say,
sounded right.
they didn't want to say, "Where's the beef?" So they say, "We have the meats."
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
That's just something that hit me. Right when you said that, I'm like going, "Oh my god, here's this one." And then I heard this one. I'm like going, "That's a playoff of 30 years ago. Nobody's called them out yet."
Yeah. So, okay, I got a question here. All of these taglines are B2C. Like they're all consumer taglines.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you think of a B2B, a business to business, selling to another business? And it's going to be harder because there's obviously it's not out in the lexicon as much, but like, can you think of one?
I can, and it's in the banking world. And you're going to go, "Oh, surprise, surprise, Mike. Here you are, champion of banks."
Love banks. So bank lover.
I actually brought this up in banking seminars. I'm like going, if you look at all the banks across the nation and you look at their logos and you look at their taglines, it's about longevity. Wells Fargo, we've been around forever. Or you see like a big stone building, we're secure, right? We're huge, we're large. Everything's about the bank. There is one bank in this country that does not do that. They talk about the business or the consumer, and they're trying to be a business bank, right? And I'm not trying to be. They are a business bank. They're also known as the bank to the stars, right? Because their headquarters is in Los Angeles, so a lot of the stars, bank with them. It's called City National Bank. And their logo, instead of a stagecoach or instead of a big building or shield or whatever that is, their logo is a ladder. And what they say is, "We help you on the way up." And that's what they talk about with businesses. We help you on the way up. We help you grow. We help you. I mean, and that's what I'm telling you. All the business bankers for City National Bank wear a ladder on their lapel and their jacket, and they live it, they breathe it, and they believe it.
Yeah, that is I've never heard it before. I've heard of City National. I've never heard that phrase before, but
You know who bought
really
I think Royal Bank of Canada actually bought City National like 5 years ago. So,
oh, really?
yeah, yeah. But they still operate as City National Bank and not Royal Bank of Canada. That's a really interesting fact, right?
Yeah, when you have that brand loyalty, I don't think I would upset the apple cart either. Interesting though that because I've never heard it, but it feels like that would connect with business owners. It feels like it would connect with entrepreneurs, and that's And I'm sure there's other businesses out there. Like, of course, like I'm guessing the Intuits of the world and the Build.com and all, they probably have taglines, but I cannot for the life of me think of what they are. So, and I'm a business owner. I'm the target. I'm the target market for a lot of those, right?
Yeah.
And I can't think of one, but the consumer goods I can think of, right? But it's tough to picture that one.
Yeah, I mean, but it was that one tagline. We help you. It was the only bank I ever saw that didn't focus on themselves. They focused on the customer, and if you listen to it, maybe it is a consumer, maybe it is a.
And what I love, I absolutely love the latter, because how many marketing people or people like that are working for a bank, they're going to go, we'll do the peak of a mountain. You've made it to the top. And these guys know entrepreneurs because they're like, you're just freaking slogging. You're climbing one rung at a time.
Yeah.
That tells me they get entrepreneurs. They get businesses. Yeah. That's really interesting. Really, really interesting.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's the best connection to realism that you can get from a bank.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going. It just struck me. So,
and I'll remember that bank. I'll remember that one, and I'll also remember Silicon Valley Bank that you just love, and I'm like not so happy with them.
I didn't say that. I said I understood what happened. Right? They took a risk that just didn't pay out.
Yeah,
take a risk. Hey,
that was our most contentious episode I think we've ever had. That was kind of fun.
I think you tried to swing at me on the video. I think you tried to hit me.
No, I didn't, but I had a very differing opinion of you, and I wasn't speaking quite as highly of the bank as you were.
That's because we can't just be, all beat people up. You got to say, hey, here's what happened. I mean, what decision would you have made?
I'm not going there. I'm not going back there.
You have to be fair. You can't just be a homer for businesses.
Oh boy, am I a homer for businesses. I will be. Okay, all you guys out there, I'm a homer for businesses. I got your back. Everybody else could
Mike, he's a big bank guy. He's a big bank guy.
I just about had something. I'll downgrade it. I almost have some sneak out, but I'll say everybody else can go suck an egg. That's a lot nicer than what I was going to say. But we got businesses back, man. That's a small business. That's what we are all about. And when I say business back, not Amazon, like whatever. We order a little, but from them, it's not we have their back. It's the small business, the independent business owners that are fighting the fight every day. And I know you're the same. You got their back, and then sometimes you muddy it with a bank.
Well, HSBC isn't that a Canadian bank?
Yes.
They had a tagline when I was doing that research. They had a tagline that I thought was absolutely terrible, and it was called "Assume Nothing."
That doesn't even make sense to me.
That's what I thought. But that's if you look at the taglines at HSBC. What is it? HSBC.
Yeah.
What does that stand for, by the way?
I'd have to think about it. To be honest, I can't even.
Okay, I can tell you, I had a meeting with them to do training on Courtney's 40th birthday. She wanted to go to the beach, so I took her to Toronto.
Yeah,
it's February, in Toronto.
Yeah.
But I got her an Airbnb on Lake Ontario, so we were on the beach. But
the beach. That makes me laugh. Just call it a beach.
Technically, I fulfilled a promise. But
yeah,
I was there to talk to HSBC, who we didn't do any business with, but I'd done some research on the bank, and it's like assume nothing. Well, I think that's counterintuitive. I think we all have to make assumptions. I think every business owner has to assume risk in some decisions that they made, because there's nothing absolute. There's nothing predictable, totally predictable. So you have to assume some risk, or you have to make some assumptions in every decision you make. So I thought that, and I could not tie that to a bank, not like the latter. and we help you on the way up, assume nothing meant nothing.
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense to me. And by the way, for if you're Canadian, it's Toronto.
What was it?
It's like that's how lazy Canadians are. It's like it's not Toronto, it's Toronto. I just kind of slide it out.
Yeah,
and it's the center of the universe.
I even had to ask you what you said.
Yeah, it's Toronto, center of the universe, because that's their tagline. That is the tagline. They don't know it, but across the rest of Canada, the tagline is the center of the universe, because Toronto doesn't know anybody else exists in the country. So
does Toronto think they're New York?
Oh yeah, they look. I'm sure they look down on New York.
They're definitely not New York. I can tell you, I've been to both places. No. They are definitely not New York.
No, they're not. They're not. And I'm speaking for, and I'm probably getting some. I'm getting the stink eye from a bunch of people out east, and one of my best friends lives in Toronto, so I get it. But it's funny when you live out west, you're just like a little snooty.
I can tell you this though. They have and they need, right? So they have it because I think they need it. The best, I think they call it the underground, where you can go into a building between blocks. All the tunnels or all the walkways are underneath the city blocks and connect this huge mall area. And I'll call it a mall, but it's not a mall. It's like a shopping district it spans several blocks. What do they call that area?
I know where it is. I don't like. Was it Bay Center or something? I know where it is. I've been there a bunch of times. That's in a lot of Canadian cities where you can go underground from building to building, or up atop over the street. They'll have like covered little tubes almost that you go through. Yeah. Going from building to building, right?
Yeah, Minneapolis has that too. But I'm like going, when I say you have it and you need it, is because I went there in February. Yeah, dude, going across the street was like going, I don't know if I want to go there.
Oh yeah,
because I got to go across the street, right?
Yeah, I think one of the coldest I've ever been in my life. And remember, I come from Edmonton. We have real cold there, but we don't. It's not damp. It's not humid.
Hey, did they win the Stanley Cup last year?
No.
I'm just asking because I thought the Knights did, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that, especially now because the Oilers are god awful right now. No, but the coldest I think I've ever been was on Queen Street in Toronto, and I think it was actually February. And I probably wasn't dressed appropriately, but I was walking down the street, and it was windy and freezing, and also humid. And I've never been so cold. I think it went to into my bones, right into my core. It was so awful.
I bought the warmest coat I had ever bought in my life, and the most expensive coat I've ever bought in my life in Toronto. I was staying at I'm going to say St. Regis. Does that sound right? I can't remember.
Sounds like something in Toronto, but I've never been there.
All right, so yeah, St. Regis, and I went outside. I'm like, I didn't bring enough clothes. I need a coat. And right across the street from the St. Regis Hotel or wherever I was staying is that mall area, right? We go in, they got a men's clothing shop. First door in. First of all, I couldn't tell if it was what it was because all the buildings are stark. Like, is this something? Is this the door? If I go in there, what happens? But then you open it up and the whole city emerges, right? Outside, I open this door. Outside, it looks like some Russian condemned city, but inside, it looks like the biggest party in the world. So I open it up and I'm like, oh, yeah, we get a coat. So I'm asking the guy, what's one of the warmer coats you got? And Courtney ended up with this Canadian Goose or something.
Canada Goose, yeah. That's a warm coat. That's a good coat.
She ended up with that. And I'm like, I don't like the puffy stuff. So I got just a navy pea coat, the wool one.
Oh, yeah.
It was like $800 and some. But I walked outside. I'm like going, I'm good.
Yeah, you're good. But I've had those before. But that's also Canadian dollars. So for you, it's like $6 or something, probably. So.
Yeah, I think they gave me change back. I gave them like a 10, and they gave me change back.
Yeah, exactly. You just pocket the change, and off you go.
The exchange rate's crazy. I don't know. I think they gave me change and 2 beers. So it's like
Yeah. Here's a couple of moose head.
right. and then it's like a cup of poutine or something.
Yeah.
Because somebody else is eating it, we're just going to give it to you.
Yeah. It's we're I guess diving into some Canadian stereotypes there, but I will tell you that one of the best tacos I've ever had in my life, and I'm not like sometimes the biggest Toronto booster, but I had an amazing taco in Toronto that was like 10, 15 years ago. I still remember the taco. That's how good it was. And I'm in Arizona half the year, and that taco is unbelievable. So
you're not going to believe it. I live in Texas. The best quesadilla I ever had was in Warsaw, Poland. What are you doing different with these quesadillas?
Nice. Unreal.
Hey, 116. We went through taglines. I think you got a healthy dose of beer, business, and BS right there. So, hey,
we did. Yeah.
If you're Canadian, don't be offended. It's funny.
No, we're good. We're all good.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, this is 116. And what we're talking about is taglines. What makes them good? And what I think, Blaine, is it's a connection to not only your business, but the emotion of your customer, whether it be a business or a consumer. What'd you learn today?
Well, I like what you said about, like, you know, it has to have those elements of what you do and who you do it for and how you're better than everybody else. It's a tall order, but like you said, like the clear path to cash is actually an unbelievable tagline. Like, I think you've got it there, right? Now you got to help me find one, or all you guys out there, help me find one.
Yeah.
And make sure you subscribe and follow us.
That's right. We'll put on Courtney's back. I mean, she's good at that stuff. So,
ask her, please do. Yeah.
That's right. So go to MikeandBlaine.com, buy us a beer. Do not break the streak of 41 weeks. We need you now more than ever. So go there. $5 a week. Maybe you get 100 weeks. Just put
exactly. And thank you again to Rachel, Larry, and neighbor Pat for keeping us beard up. Appreciate it.
There you go. Have a good one, man. Good to see you.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.